called the ensigns and said unto them, Why did you do thus? The ensigns said to Pilate, We are all pagans and worship the gods in the temples. And how should we think anything about worshiping him? We only held the standards in our hands, and they bowed themselves and worshipped him. We shall see whether they will bend of themselves. So the elders of the Jews sought out 12 of the most strong and able old men, and made them hold the standards, and they stood in the presence of the governor. Then Pilate said to the messenger, Take Jesus out, and by some means bring him in again. And Jesus and the messenger went out of the hall. Standards, and swore to them that if they had not borne the standards in that manner when Jesus before entered in, he would cut off their heads, and worshipped him. Chapter 2 is compassionated by Pilate's wife, charged with being born in fornication, testimony to the betrothing of his parents, hatred of the Jews to him. Now when Pilate saw this, he was afraid, and was about to rise from his seat. But while he thought to rise, his own wife, who stood at a distance, sent to him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered much concerning him in a vision this night. When the Jews heard this, they said to Pilate, Did we not say unto thee, He is a conjurer? Behold, he hath caused thy wife to dream. Pilate then calling Jesus said, Thou hast heard what they testify against thee, and makest no answer? Jesus replied, If they had not a power of speaking, they could not have spoke. But because every one has the command of his own tongue, to speak both good and bad, let him look to it. But the elders of the Jews answered and said to Jesus, What shall we look to? In the first place, I conjure you by the life of Caesar, that ye faithfully declare whether he was born through fornication, and those things be true which ye have related. They answered Pilate, We have a law whereby we are forbid to swear, it being a sin. Let them swear by the life of Caesar that it is not as we have said, and we will be contented to put him to death. Then said Annas and Caiaphas to Pilate, Those 12 men will not believe that we know him to be basely born, and to be a conjurer, although he pretends that he is the Son of God, and a king, which we are so far from believing that we tremble to hear. Then Pilate commanded every one to go out except the 12 men who said he was not born through fornication, and Jesus to withdraw to a distance, and said to them, Why have the Jews a mind to kill Jesus? They answered him, They are angry because he wrought cures on the Sabbath day. Pilate said, Will they kill him for a good work? They say unto him, Yes, sir.
How dare him?
Chapter 3 is of the hall, and said to the Jews, I call the whole world to witness that I find no fault in that man. The Jews replied to Pilate, If he had not been a wicked person, we had not brought him before thee. Pilate said to them, Do ye take him and try him by your law. Then the Jews said, It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death. Do ye take him and try him by your law. Then the Jews said, It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death. It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death. And for this end came I into the world, and for this purpose I came, that I should bear witness to the truth. And everyone who is of the truth heareth my voice. Pilate said to him, What is the truth? Jesus said, Truth is from heaven. Pilate said, Therefore, what sort of temple is that of which he speaketh? The Jews say unto him, That which Solomon was 46 years in building. He said he would destroy, and in 3 days build up. Pilate said to them again, I am innocent from the blood of that man. Do ye look to it? The Jews say to him, His blood be upon us and our children. Then Pilate, calling together the elders and scribes, priests and Levites, saith to them privately, Do not act thus. I have found nothing in your charge against him, concerning his curing sick persons and breaking the Sabbath.
Nicodemus was talking to Pilate, and he was reminding him about Moses. And when these characters in the Bible are being spoken to, I look at it as not just one angle, but the other way is when he's being told to go and say unto the prince of Tyrus. And so when that person being the prince of Tyrus, but inside the prophet is starting to speak in the person's spirit and starting to take over the prince of Tyrus. Just like the prince of hell, and then Satan talking. See, what I do is I go over these other books that it's not about believing other books that are taken out or added or whatever it is. Just listen to it. Listen to it without judging it, without your preconceived ideas. And if anything else lines up, it's the way the world is playing the Bible out, and the actors are in place. So they're all in place. And then it becomes an actual real, the Bible starts to become real to them in their hearts. And that's why in these books you'll hear
than unrighteous persons in the whole world. While the prince of hell was thus speaking to Satan, the king of glory said to Beelzebub, the prince.
See, like the king of hell was talking to Satan, and the king of hell, like who's the king of hell on this earth? As we're in this pit, this hell pit, who's the king of it? Well, the king of it should be going to Satan, the spirit in the air, as I don't even know who I'm just listening to this for the first time, who the king of hell is, but it's someone that torments everybody. And that king needs to go to Satan in his own spirit and speak to him like that.
Prince of hell, Satan, the prince, shall be subject to thy dominions forever, in the room of Adam and his righteous sons who are mine. Chapter 19. Christ takes Adam by the hand. The rest of the saints join hands, and they all ascend with him to paradise.
See, when it's because it's the gospel of Nicodemus, the Acts of Pilate. It has the word Adam and it has the word Christ in there, and as if they're two separate people.
Then Jesus stretched forth his hand and said, Come to me, all you my saints, who were created.
Because what I want to do is, I want to get all the angles and try to see how the world is playing the Bible out, and how many different characters can actually be one person. Like one person has a bunch of different names in the Bible, but because it's Old Testament, New Testament, you're thinking thousands of miles apart, which it can be, but today the characters are being played out as Old Testament, New Testament. They're the same people at the same time, within the same 7-year period at least. Well, I think it was like almost 20. A lot, about 19 years of kings being in charge and then coming to an end. And ever since 9/11, ever since I guess you could say the first woe, 2001, in that year, and then 2011 was another, and then here we are, 2021, being a 20-year period of some kind of coming down to earth and doing this thing, and then towards the end the vision fails. Like, this is what people are experiencing. You did know that the vision was going to fail, right? Like, it says it in the Bible, the same Bible that you're playing out. So when the vision fails and you're on the other side, I mean, I don't really know how things are going to go from here on out. Like how to I just know it's going to work. It's going to work out. And that's what I'm trying to figure out, the characters, because it gives you an idea of how the world is, the projection of what you should look for. Like the Antichrist for the 3.5-year period already happening, getting to the point of being over, but many mindsets are believing it's just going to begin, and some are stuck in the middle. Some don't. They don't really have it one way or another. It's just kind of, you're in the middle, because there's the beginning part and then there's the end part, and there's a lot of people in the middle. And the ones that are really, really tired and haven't woken up yet, that have been slumbering for a while, they're going to think we're at the very beginning, because now they're waking up. Now you're waking up because it's so damn obvious. And when our entire planet gets covered with a face mask, and it's been going on for over a year now, you can't buy or sell without the mark of the beast. Well, what's the mark? And the mark is whatever's put over covering your face. That's why Christ had to go and wake up the Lazarene, because it was 4 days. 4 years or 4 days. 4 years is 4 days. A day is a year. He played out all directions, the 4 years and the 4 days. But he went to get him to take the covering off, because when he told him to come up out of her, he told him to take your covering off your face. Didn't he have like a mummy's face mask or something? So you can't, you're supposed to not be able to buy in a store right now without that covering, because this mark is something that you're voluntarily doing it, because you're telling yourself that you have to before you go in. You're telling yourself you just don't want to be bothered. It's the same thing. And a lot of people don't want to be confronted about anything, and I don't blame you, because it's not a comfortable feeling, although it's necessary to go through, because then when you go through it, you start to realize more and more and more, especially when you either go through and nobody's even bothering you. I think that's but then when you do get bothered, okay, fine, you get bothered, this is what you don't want to do, and then you do it, and you get through it, and you pass it, the test. You don't want the cops called on you, fine, I don't either, but you know what, you got to stand there and talk to them and explain what they don't understand, and stick up for your rights, and go through the motions of not fearing the fact that they're going to call the cops on you, because you're just going in as you always have your entire life, as just being regular yourself, walking into a store. So you don't feel like doing that, and then when you do it, well, you know, hopefully something good comes out of it. But when you first initially get ready to walk in these stores, that enemy inside of you, man, when you can finally realize that it is your enemy inside of you, and you've been letting it control you your entire life with whatever it is, doesn't matter what this topic is, it's something that you don't have control over in your life, and you don't like it, and you don't like when people talk about it, because it's something you don't want to talk about, because it's a weakness, and if it's out of mind, out of sight. So just comply and do it, because you don't feel like going through it. And then when you go through it, you realize, wow, man, I heard you, enemy, in my spirit, loud and clear, screaming in my ear that you need to put this, you're going to get bothered. Like, you have to put the mask on. They're not going to let you in. And then you realize that you walk straight through the door. And then you do it over and over again, and then you start realizing more that you can only realize this when you do it. Because then you walk through, you go around, yeah, you're feeling judged because you're judging yourself. You're feeling like people are staring at you when it doesn't even matter if they are. But like when nobody's saying anything in the stores, my mindset now is, what does it matter what anybody's thinking? They're in their own delusional, drifted off world of swirling thoughts that come and go. And when you leave the store and someone's there and they leave and it's a vapor, you don't ever. So why feel uncomfortable is what I'm trying to say. Why feel awkward and uncomfortable with anything, with whatever you're doing? Why do you feel that way? Because you're judging yourself. You're taking your enemy as a mirror reflection and putting it in front of you and just watching it scream at you and hate everything about you, and everything that you do it wants you to not do. It would rather you not work and be lazy, but that spirit, if you're not hungry, it wants you to be hungry. And when you're hungry, it wants you to not eat. When you're trolled on the YouTube channel, it's just whatever you say, it's the exact opposite. I don't even care if I believe it or not. It's called opposites. It's the opposite game. Whatever you can do to irritate him, do it. Whatever you can do to irritate him and get him to shut up, do it. Do it. And then everybody does it. Or they try to do it to certain people. And then they try some more and more, and they keep trying. And some people are very successful at their job, at irritating people, getting under their skin. Because it's not so much of what they do, it's the fact of their mindset about how much they thoroughly enjoy it, which is the most sickening, disgusting part that I've had to deal with. By just dealing with that spirit in general, whether it weaves in and out of whoever, whenever, it does it. And it gives you that feeling, and then you feel sick and disgusted. Because you're attaching emotions to it. You're allowing, you're tapped into their thought process that bothers you, because that's what you're perceiving that they are, which they are, because that's the spirit that's running them. But that's no different than walking in the Wawa and getting irritated that somebody's wearing the mask because they're complying and not even trying to just go through without it and just do it like that. So when you attach feelings to what you're saying, to what people are either saying or what they're wearing or not in a store, you're gonna lose, because your energy is gonna go down low. It takes life out of you, and it's too much work to repetitively think about the same thing that's going to continually bother you. That's why fasting and stopping things it's just the key of life, really. Just stop doing those things. If anything has a hold of you, stop doing it. Fast from it, whatever it is. Just try it for 3 days. Even try it for 24 hours. That way you can just listen to, you can hear the spirit drawing you in, and then you realize you are separate from your flesh if you stop and think again and listen to your second thought and don't react on your first thought. Do not listen to your first thought if you don't have control of yourself. Let the second one pass by. Listen to that. Hear them both out. Because your irritation level, life is about living it in the moment as peacefully as you possibly can. So why not try little things that can get you there? Because little tiny things add up, and then it becomes a condition. You start to eliminate your habits and create new patterns, just moments at a time, seconds at a time. It only takes a minute. It takes a minute to walk through to a store and walk around and then go out, like to test the mask thing. Just know that your time, you have a minute that you're going to go through this. And if you don't think you can, and you just go through and see it, and then, but if they bother you, if you have your mask in your hand, if you're not comfortable with it yet, you walk through and they bother you, all right, well then you're already doing your mask thing, so but at least you tried to go through without it. And then when you do go through another store, just keep doing it. You go through another store the same way. Like if somebody says, what are you afraid of? Well, they're going to tell me to wear a mask. Okay, well then have it in your pocket and walk through. And if that bothers you that much, then do your thing. Put it on. But the goal is to not put it on, ever. But if you go in to these stores, and the reason why is because this is a test of being able to cast demons out of your own head by doing this. What is it? It's fear, it's anxiety. I know, I've experienced it. I mean, I've took it to the extreme with ridiculousness of, you want me to wear a mask? Okay. How many different Wolf, Donald Trump, alien, and Ram's Head mask, different stores going in, and they accept that. Might look a little funny, but again, I'm just slaying demons as I do it, because who really wants to do that? This is the world, like the whole planet has to do this thing. Think about how serious this is. The whole world has to put the mask on in order to go in stores. Now, except for a few places, but that's fading away. Before the mask thing goes away, before Lazarus wakes up, before the crucifixion of Christ, because you got to make sure, you got to get the Lazarene over there, you got to get him awake before you get to the crucifixion. That way, nobody gets hurt in the end. Nobody really gets hurt. Nobody dies. So you got to get him to be raised up. But before it goes away, you want to take advantage of this mental exercise that you can do that helps tremendously. It gets rid of you caring about what people think, what they are looking at you for, me personally, I'm telling you what I've done. That's why I'm experiencing it. I'm just trying to explain it. I have gotten rid of a lot of those thoughts that were in my head that make me feel uncomfortable, that would project thoughts of what someone has said, or what a fear would be, or anything that gets you off of your in the moment now feeling of peace in your heart. Anything. Your enemy is you. It is you only. Man, it is so you. I think it was Isaiah. God said, telling Isaiah to go to the Prince of Tyrus and tell him something. And if that is the way it is, where you're being, in your spirit is rising up a prophet telling, I don't know if Isaiah, I'll find out when a bunch of people want to tell me exactly what the truth is, and I can wake up more instead of kind of doing this like a fog. It's a little foggy. I've gotten this far. Tomorrow's 4 years on YouTube. 3 full years. 4 years. And I've learned a lot about a lot. But I did it blindfolded. And I did it with no real guidance, just by a desire to do it. And then I met a few people, and I've communicated with a few people that has helped me understand it a little bit more. But that's why I go over so many scenarios. Like, how am I supposed to know? The longer I live, the more I'll know and learn and experience. But this mindset of casting demons out of your head and speaking to yourself and going to the prince of whoever, or the king of this and the king of that, and say unto him, get the hell out of my head and retire, go back to your place, because I am completely finished with you. Like, the enemy inside of me will never get me like that, to live my life the way I've been day in and day out ever again. I'll have my moments. Everybody has moments, but meaning when you can see that people are still snagged in that spirit, they cannot see it. They do not see it, but you see it clearly. You see it so clearly that this person in front of you could be a completely different, relaxed, chilled out person, only if they knew and believed that it's only them they're fighting with themselves, and they're convincing themselves of things. They're uncomfortable around people because of what they're saying to themselves while they're there worrying about. I told my kid this before, and I probably got to tell him again, but back then I told him, just be yourself. Like, stop worrying about, because he would come up to me at the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, just like timid and nervous to speak about things, because he's so used to being attacked by his mother's spirit that just, my goodness, would not stop ever. And so he always felt attacked, and he still does, I'm sure. But I told him, just because it's hurt my heart to see him do that to me. I'm not trying to be intimidating to anybody. I'm trying to help you think for yourself. Let that enemy go that's inside of you, and just speak your mind with what you want to say, kid. And you know, when I did that, he really started to do that. And that might have shaped him from that time, because I don't want anybody being scared of me. And I'm nobody to be scared of. But it would be frightening to be on the inside, and I'm revealing these things about your entire setup, and I did it kind of sleepwalking. But don't worry, when I wake up completely, I'll have mercy on everybody that came against me and hated because of their own perception of what they think and what they're told, what they believe. It's just the truth is that people are and have been already communicating through the spiritual connection, even if they haven't been face-to-face meetings. And that's like the same as when you hop into a platform like this and there's a bunch of people that are already there, and it's not like you really were invited to hang out. You kind of just invited yourself, but you were the one visiting people there in their own land. And then you find people like anybody that signed up for YouTube, and you're just doing what I'm doing, which is, for whatever reason you signed up, you're just a regular person. You haven't been hired by anybody. So you're just looking for answers. When you hop in, you learn a whole lot about people and their spirits and what's running them. And so because I've done that, and tomorrow is 4 years of doing it, I'm just trying to help the people that have come against me. You only did it because of ignorance or some hatred you have in your heart, because your enemy tells you to hate. Your enemy tells you that you're right about whatever it is. You know, you're right. Nobody else is. And it's just a way. And then when people have like this inside knowledge and they don't, it makes them feel good because they have inside knowledge that you don't, but yet you do have the inside knowledge. It's all about the shh. Yeah. Guns N' Roses, he did a video where all you need is a little bit of patience. Yeah. And right before he did like almost this thing down by his groin area, he went up and went shh. And then there's this other song that said, heads down, not up, down, and another one that everybody wants to rule the world. You know why? Because every star was taken to the high mountain, which is this isn't my world. This is, do you want the world? Because this is what Satan told him in their head too. But the ruler said, do you want the entire world? Here you go. It's all yours. Rule it. Everybody wants to rule the world. Faucian bargain. It's a must wrap. You have to be wrapped up. It's either heads down or heads up. You can either be heads down or you can be the Cranberry lead singer and go full woman. It's crazy. It's everywhere. It's everything. It's everything. It's everywhere and everything. But the story is that when you go into these stores and you do it time and time again, you'll realize that you're only really communicating with yourself, judging yourself, giving yourself uncomfortable feelings, worrying, doubt, everything. It's just you. When you can finally get rid of that, oh man, it doesn't really matter what you're doing in life. It's just the fact that you know that spirit is now beneath you. And it knows that too. And when you see people suffering with it, it's just, you just want to explain it the best way you can as fast as possible so they can get rid of it. But everything takes time. So before the mask thing ordinance goes away, yeah, you should try it. Try to go in without it and just experience it. And when you start going through without it, that spirit won't be talking to you anymore because you've already cast it down. You've already stomped on it. And it can't affect you.